Hey, this is Stacia, and I am now going to share my round 3 game played in Parma on March 29th of 2022. This game was against Tony Rucker. And at this point in the, well, I guess the tournament, it's really a quads event where there's a section of 4 players and you play each player in that section. So you get 3 games, and I had won my first 2 games. So I definitely was looking to get a final win. When you do that, you actually get bonus rating points in the USCF system. So it is very desirable to win all 3. But let's go ahead and look at this. So I opened with e4. He went c6, the Caro-Kann. Second time I faced it in the same night. d4, d5. And we have a Panov Attack once again. He went bishop to f5, and I went queen to b3. So I think this is the most testing move against this. National Master Michael Jolson, he always questions this move. He says, do you really have to do this right away? I mean, he's certainly right. We don't have to. We have a few different moves according to the engine. Like knight c3 is fine. We could just go knight c3. And if he goes e6, perhaps this is even a little better because the bishop is shut out from that diagonal now. Wow, I'm seeing that g4 is a move here. That might be fun preparation. g4. Wow. And then after this, we take it. And if the bishop just comes back like this, I was wondering if we were going to go h4, but no, we just take here. I think the point is that now this move isn't as desirable because the bishop can't return to guard this queen side, which is often vulnerable in this opening. So anyway, I like to learn a new idea, so there it is. All right, but in the game, queen b3 and queen d7. Yeah, I think queen b3 is a good move because we're basically attacking this and we're attacking this. It's kind of a fork. So queen d7, and I could take on d5, which I did. And then he went a6. So why would he play a6? Well, I think he saw what I was up to. I mean, if he tries to just play normal, I'm threatening that move. That's not good, right? I thought he would have to play this, which doesn't look so good. You know, white's winning. So he played a6 to stop that, makes some sense. And I played knight to f3. Now, he played bishop e4 here, which I think is a pretty clever move. It turns out it's actually a blunder. Wow, I didn't know that, but I want to turn the engine off. It's actually a blunder, but during the game, I thought it was pretty clever because if I go knight c3, I thought this is probably good for me still, but he could wreck my structure at least. Now, in compensation for that, I've got, what, an extra pawn and 2 bishops? So that's pretty good. So I thought this is probably the way the computer would want to play. But I was wrong because I misunderstood a different move. I also thought that after knight e5, I thought he would go bishop here, and I wasn't sure what was going on here, but I should have looked harder because in this position I could actually take the queen. They take the queen, knight b6. Black has 2 things under attack, so that's pretty good. I think white's probably winning here, so let's check with the engine now. Yeah, white is winning. I mean, if they save their rook, we get to take the bishop, but they don't get to take our knight. Our knight is safe. So that wins a piece. So knight e5 was definitely the way to go. That would have won the game right then. Wow. Okay, but instead I played this, which, yeah, this must be a blunder too. Yeah, I mean, my idea was to go for development. I know this move looks awkward, but I am attacking the bishop. If he takes here, I was planning on taking with this knight. That position looks fairly good. And I also thought if he takes here, I'll go bishop c4. So I think that happened. Yeah. And then he played e6. So knight to e5, right? Attack that queen. Okay. So he played this move, which again is a tricky move. So the question is, can I play like this? Can I take the queen and let him take my queen? I could go knight b6. Is that good? I feel like it is. Let's find out. I take his queen, he takes my queen, knight b6. So if rook a7 and I take the bishop, let's say I just take like that. Yeah, I didn't win material, did I? Yeah, the problem is he took my bishop first, you know? He took my bishop first. So this is an in-between move in this variation. So that when I take his queen, he takes my queen. You know, I never recaptured after bishop takes c4. So then even though I'm attacking two pieces at the end, I need to get a piece back. So yeah, it's not as good here. Okay, so anyway, I actually just took back with the knight here, and I was liking my position because, well, I mean, did he forget how to develop his king side? Right? But I mean, of course he didn't. He's trying to challenge what I'm doing and say that he's fine. Okay. So he did move his queen. I actually expected him to take the pawn. I really thought he would do this. And I thought my position would be really good after even something like bishop e3. But he played this, which makes more sense because he's pitting my knight in a way because I don't want to trade queens. So I could do this fork, but then he'll trade queens. You know, and when I take back rook a7, I mean, maybe this is still good for me though. I actually have a feeling that it probably is. Like knight b6 is probably a good move. Let's check with the engine and see. Yeah, it likes it. It's +2 for white. I mean, I was expecting this. I was going to take with the a pawn, which is correct. Oh, that's the only option, by the way. All right, and then rook a7. That's not the best rook I've ever seen. Yeah, and when I analyzed this variation with Michael Jolson, there ended up being like some kind of bind. Like I think we played bishop e3, you know, lining up with that rook. Yeah, and this looks kind of compelling. What should black do here? Maybe knight c6, because if we take, that would open the rook up. The engine wants to do that, though. Yeah, it does create a weak pawn, doesn't it? So maybe, yeah, that's the best way to play. I was also looking at f6. I thought this was interesting, but here, probably we can just jump to c4. I don't see an issue with that. Yeah, this is just a pleasant position, I think. I mean, we could check, or not check, but we could play here at some point. And I like blockading that pawn. So it's a wedge, you know, it's a wedge because, well, or a bind as they call it, because the knight is like right in front of that pawn and black really wants to move that pawn, but they can't really do that. So that would have been a way to go. I didn't do that in the game though. I just castled here. Yeah, by the way, on knight b6, he doesn't have to trade queens. I think he'd be crazy not to though, right? He could try something like this. Rook f1. I didn't even want to go into anything like this. It felt unnecessary to me. But this is good too for white. But that's why I castled. I castled to avoid that queen takes g2 stuff. And then b5 happened. Okay, and then, you know, a good question. Like, where do we put our knight? Do we go knight b6? It looks very appealing. It looks like a fork. But again, he could trade queens. And there's also knight a5. There's also this move. And this pawn will be hanging, by the way. So if knight b6, I wasn't sure about this. Oops, wait a minute. Trade queens first, of course. And then this. I wasn't sure about this, though, because I was worried my knight might get trapped. Yeah, like what if I guess it's my move. I could go bishop b3. Maybe this is the variation I looked at with Michael Jolson. No, I don't think so. Yeah, if black could play that move, then I think it's good for black, but they can't. So what do they do then? They could attack my knight. And then it says rook fc1. Wow. Yeah, we don't care about the knight. We come in with check. Only move. And then d5 is very winning because that attacks the rook. All right, well, let's move the rook here, I guess. Oh, look, I have a tactic now. I was thinking takes. It's not what the engine's giving, but I kind of like that. What's wrong with that? I guess I already gave up a piece, so this really isn't enough. Instead, we go knight c6 right away. Oh, check this out. They can't really take, because then we take with a pawn, and that pawn is very good. That pawn's amazing. So instead, they go king d6. But that gives up a bishop. Yeah, I would probably take that. Okay, so anyway, turns out that after knight b6, there's a lot of play for white. But, you know, I didn't see that idea of just letting them take my knight on b6 and bringing the rook out. Okay. Okay, back to the game. I went knight a5 instead, which is not as good. The computer actually says the position's equal now. I can't believe that. Like, I'm seriously shocked that it's saying that. I mean, look at that lack of development. I feel like that must be worth something. On the other hand, I might go down a pawn. Yeah, and he actually did take the pawn here, which is very risky. He could just develop with knight f6. Probably a better move. But he did take the pawn. I was hoping he would, because now I get more play. Oh yeah, in fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure I started foaming at the mouth when queen takes d4 showed up on the board, because I'm just like, there is no way you can play chess like this. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I want to sacrifice like right now. I mean, my development is almost complete. So I did sack. But I actually knew that I would get the piece, or I would get material here, because after king takes, I actually have queen f3 check. And that is a fork. So I had 2 Panov attacks this tournament, and I got to play knight takes f7 in both of them. Pretty crazy, right? And it was the best move in both of them. So that's my kind of tournament. All right, so he played knight f6, good move. And of course, I'm going to take that rook. Why wouldn't I? Now, I will say that Michael Jolson actually was wondering about the move queen f3 first. Turns out he was right. This is the top engine move. He liked this. He said, how does he get out of this? He'd probably have to go rook a7. And then what do we do? Well, at the very least, we can just put a knight on c6, because that's a reloader tactic. You know? Like, that's a fork. They take us. I don't need that knight. I have another one. Still a fork. Yeah, this is winning for white. So, wow, Jolson was right, for sure. He saw that instantly, too. Okay, I did it this way, which is still good. I mean, it's almost as good. Like, what white is +5 here. So, okay, bishop e7, which does pin his knight. But if he doesn't go bishop e7, and he goes like this move, which looks fairly natural, I feel like this pin is really annoying for him. Like, he can't move his bishop without me getting that rook. So I think that's why he went bishop e7. I thought it was a good move. Yeah, it's top engine move. Okay, and yeah, at this point of the game, I wanted to play knight c6, because that would attack the pinned knight, attack the bishop, attack the queen. Looks like it wins until you see queen d5. Yeah, you can tell I analyzed this before. That's a pin. And by the way, it's really hard to deal with this. Like, how do we get out of this? Like, black's winning after queen d5, believe it or not. Luckily, I saw that. I saw that. So I didn't play that. I went bishop e3. Let's get that queen out of there first. He went queen e4. Offering a queen trade. Now, I think I make my first mistake of the game here. Actually, that's not true. I could have won in the opening. Let's call it a blunder. My first blunder of the game. Now, the computer doesn't think it's a blunder. It thinks it's totally fine what I did. But in rapid chess, you know, the practical aspect of the game is very important. I mean, these are humans playing, not computers. Now, I decided to keep the queens on the board. Okay, realistically, this is totally fine to do. I was like, hey, look, there is a vulnerable king. My queen can go to a7 where it's on his 7th rank. I can get my rooks involved. You know, I still have better development and better pieces, maybe except for this knight. I thought this has got to be the best move. In contrast, though, we could trade queens, and I'm up a clean exchange, right? I'm up a clean exchange with better pawn structure. That's my kingside structure. That's black's kingside structure. He has one extra pawn island. So I need to feel better about going into positions like this that are just better. I mean, up in exchange with better pawn structure. It's basically a 2.5 point advantage, and the computer will say more, which it does. It says plus 6.8. Okay. But I did play Queen A7, which the engine likes both moves equally, by the way. But the issue here is that I have 5 minutes on my clock, and the position is going to be complicated. And without any time to really calculate, I could end up in a situation where I don't have time to calculate. But I need to. And, well, you're going to see. That's actually what happens. So, yeah, I played, or first he played here. Yeah, now that looks like a weird move, but I actually think it's smart because if he goes here, he'll drop this pawn. That can't be that good. So he decided to bring this knight in like this. And that also frees up the square for the bishop, which I think is important later. Okay, so I'm just going to play normal. I'm going to bring my rooks in and try to get him. Right? So, yeah, first of all, he saw that I wanted to go after that bishop. Yeah, I was planning that move, I think. And I was also planning that move. I had a lot of ideas here. But I brought the rook in, because why not? That attacks the knight. So he protected it. And then I brought my other rook in. Makes sense, right? Just wanted to see something. Yeah. Okay. And then he played this move. Bishop D1, Bishop D8. Now, I did not have that much time on my clock, but this is one of those moments where, you know, if you could just find one good move, one more good move, you'll probably win the game. That's kind of what this moment is. And unfortunately for me, I didn't do it. So if you want to pause your video and find a good move for white, go ahead and do so now. Okay, there's actually two good moves, but one is the best, clearly the best. I'll show you the one that's good though. This is good too. Rook to c5, rook 7 to c5 is a good move. It attacks the queen. Oops. But this is very complicated. So the knight's pinned, so it can't take the rook. So you guys know that. But, you know, why can't black maybe play this move? Bishop to b6. Now, that bishop's attacking my knight and my queen and my rook. Looks pretty good. I could take the queen now. They'll take my queen. So, you know, we need to calculate this and decide if we're winning. They could also, yeah, they probably have to take that. And then I could take this way. They take the rook. Who's better here? Well, it turns out it is white. It is white that's better. I don't know. Hard to see and evaluate all this with no time on my clock. So I did look at that and I got confused, so I didn't play it. Turns out there's a way easier move. Queen takes b8. That knight is pinned. That knight is pinned, and if they take here, we take. That just wins more material, and that's going to be a mop-up job from here. So had I found that one last move, I think this game would have went differently. So as you probably realize now, I didn't win this game. So I'll show you what happened. I said, uh-oh, I'm going to lose material, so I might as well do it this way. Let's sack and play knight c6, which I thought was testing at least. Bishop f6. And now, sadly, my weak back rank is going to come into play here. I played knight b4 with a cool idea. Trying to remember what it was. Oh, I remember the idea. The idea is that the queen is actually guarding the knight. So I'm trying to get the queen to move away from that knight so I could take it. Seems like a good idea, right? So he went here, and my idea was bishop c5. Now if that queen moves away from the knight, I will take it. That's the only square left. Yeah, and I was under a minute in this position. Tried to find a good move. He's attacking my rook. You know, so that's not good. So bishop e3, you know, guards my rook. But then he can go back. So actually we did repeat. And it was a draw. Crazy, right? But now I could have played for a win. But I think it's too risky, especially with no time on my clock. Like, for example, I could, in this position, maybe I could just give left like g3. Because now when I do this, I'm going to have more options. But even here, I mean, he could do things like maybe take that. Like, he could maybe take that, right? And then what? I guess here he could take the knight. I take his knight with check. Rook e7. I don't know. Like, this move comes to mind, but black's winning after that, so don't do that. Yeah, it's a game still, you know, and I guess white is winning here. Why is white winning? Queen d1 is the move. I think we're going to attack the pinned bishop. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, with no time on my clock, I'm really not sure I could do this. I mean, I would want to go here or something. Yeah, that move's a blunder. Yeah, it's just a complicated position. Because now he goes bishop f6. Instead, I should go queen e2. Don't know why. Bishop f6. Oh, rook b3. Wow. Yeah, so pretty interesting game though, and I did win the quad. So I got 2.5 out of 3, which is not so bad. I'm pretty sure I was the lowest rated in the quad too, because my rating is took a hit. So I'll get those rating points back, and that's good. And I'm planning on going to a slow time control tournament in Rochester, New York, pretty soon here, so within 2 weeks. And I'm really looking forward to that. Slow chess is definitely what I enjoy the most. And I'll see my chess training partner, Brian Castro. So we'll both be competing in the tournament. And, well, that's it. This is Stacia, and I'll be back with more chess. See you next time. Bye.